If you've listened to the previous episodes, you might be starting to see a pattern. If you haven't, well, why not go back and have a listen? They're deliberately recorded as being short and easy to consume. The pattern that I suspect that you'd be picking up on is sales feels harder than it should. Deals stall, conversations sit too low, price becomes a focus, teams struggle to engage at the right level, and over time, it can start to feel like things are slightly out of your control.
You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a modern approach to winning business, the application of virtual selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Why not take our free collaborative selling scorecard to see how your sales approach suits today's environment? You'll find a link in the show notes.
No one likes to be out of control. But when you step back, what we've been looking at isn't a set of separate problems. It's one core issue: misalignment. It's misalignment between how we sell and how customers buy. That's it. Everything we've talked about ultimately connects back to that. We talked about getting into the conversation too late because they've done a load of thinking and they're at a point where they pretty much know what they're going to do. We've talked about positioning value too low. It's where we've been talking operationally rather than about the stuff that more senior stakeholders need. We've talked about deals stalling. Why? Because we're not matched to where they're actually at. Stalling's our word. It's actually just going along at the pace it was going along anyway. We talked about conversations missing the mark. We make it about us. We give too much detail, try to prove our expertise, rather than trying to get clarity for the customer, becoming the sense maker. They are all symptoms of that same gap. And this is where things can start to shift. Because if the issue is alignment, well, the opportunity is obvious, no? It's to realign. It's not by doing more, but it's by doing things differently. It's by stepping into the customer's world earlier, really understanding what's driving their need and aligning your approach to their thinking. A simple way to think about this is through the 5 core elements of selling. 5 core elements. The right opportunities, the right research, the right conversations, the right solutions, and the right outcomes. Each one builds on the other. If you focus on the right opportunities, you can do the right research. That in turn leads to better conversations. That's going to shape a better solution, and ultimately it's going to deliver the outcomes the customer is actually looking for. Because basically they pay us for outcomes, they pay us for results. And I'd argue we can then flip that back and go, well, that's where the right opportunities are. Because we're looking for people who we can deliver that kind of outcome for. That's the key. Customers don't buy products. They buy outcomes. They're trying to move from where they are now to somewhere better. When you start with that in mind, everything else falls into place, everything else aligns. The conversation becomes more relevant to them. The value becomes more clear to them. The decision becomes easier for them. This is the shift from reacting to what's in front of you to influencing what comes next. So rather than responding to tenders, we can shift to shaping the thinking earlier, rather than trying to explain solutions in great depth and impress with our expertise. We can focus on creating clarity. When that happens, sales starts to feel so much different, much less forced, much more natural. It's more aligned. So if sales has felt harder than it should, it's not about pushing even harder. I'd say it's about just stepping back, realigning your approach. Because when you align to how customers actually buy, you become the sense maker, you are there as decision support, everything becomes simpler. If you're listening to this and thinking, you know what, this probably does reflect where we're at, a useful next step is to get a clearer view of how aligned your current approach really is. I've put together a simple collaborative selling scorecard. It'll help you assess whether you're entering too late, whether the value is sitting too low, what opportunities are being missed. You can access it below. Use it as a starting point. Use it to kickstart your own thinking. Use it for more focused internal conversations. How do we go about doing this? Beware, there'll often be a, yeah, but this is how we do things around here, resistance. But is how do we do things around here actually working as effectively as we'd like? Collaborative Selling Scorecard, it'll kickstart your thinking. As will, if you haven't listened to these already, the previous episodes, or if you've listened to them and thought, yeah, this stuff is making sense, use that to distill your thinking into action.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. I hope you've enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please get in touch and hit subscribe. And remember, you can take the Collaborative Selling Scorecard for free to check out how your sales approach works in today's environment. You'll find it in the show notes.